Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, the man who knew Japan could not win. The meeting that defined a war. September 15, 1940. The atmosphere in the Prime Minister's official residence in Tokyo was thick with cigarette smoke and unspoken anxiety. Prime Minister Fumimaro Konoye had asked the question that cut through the polite evasions of Japanese politics. If we go to war with America, what are our chances? Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto, Commander-in-Chief of the Combined Fleet, gave an answer that chilled the room. If I am told to fight, regardless of consequences, I shall run wild for the first 6 months or a year, but I have utterly no confidence for the second or third year. Those words, spoken with quiet certainty, would haunt Japan until its surrender in 1945. Yamamoto wasn't guessing, he was calculating. Having studied America firsthand, he knew Japan's fate in any war with the United States was already sealed. Early life and the roots of realism. Isoroku Takano was born on April 4, 1884, in Nagaoka, Niigata Prefecture, the sixth son of a poor schoolteacher. His father's age, 56 at the time of Isoroku's birth, inspired his name, which literally meant 56. The family's poverty was severe. They survived on sweet potatoes and barley, rarely affording rice. Such hardship forged in Yamamoto an appreciation for scarcity that would later shape his understanding of Japan's industrial vulnerability. Adopted by the Yamamoto family in 1916 for social advancement, he had already lost 2 fingers at the Battle of Tsushima in 1905, a victory that convinced Japan of its moral superiority over material strength. Yamamoto, however, saw through the illusion. Japan had defeated a distracted Russia, not a true industrial power like the United States.
A Harvard education in power. In 1919, as a young naval officer, Yamamoto was sent to Harvard University to study English and observe American naval developments. What he encountered changed his worldview. Among the ivy-covered halls of Cambridge, he may have earned only average grades, but his true education lay outside the classroom. He devoured books on American industry, petroleum production, and manufacturing efficiency. His small room in Brookline, Massachusetts, became a laboratory of industrial espionage, covered in maps, statistics, and sketches of oil fields. Yamamoto soon grasped a fundamental truth. Oil was the blood of modern warfare, and America possessed oceans of it. Witnessing the machinery of abundance. During the summers, Yamamoto hitchhiked across America to witness the industrial heart of the nation. In Detroit, he watched Henry Ford's Highland Park plant produce a new car every 45 seconds. 20,000 workers streamed out each shift, most driving their own automobiles, an unthinkable sight in Japan. Ford's factory consumed more steel daily than Japan produced in a week. Yamamoto's notebooks brimmed with figures and astonishment. The Americans produce machines the way we produce rice, systematically, efficiently, and in quantities that defy imagination. He realized that the same processes that build cars could easily build tanks, planes, and warships. Oil fields of Texas, America's arsenal beneath the soil. Yamamoto's most revealing journey came in the summer of 1921, when he disappeared for 6 weeks into the oil fields of Texas. Traveling by freight train and on foot, he reached Spindletop and Port Arthur, where he observed refineries operating around the clock. The scale was staggering. Single wells produced more oil in a day than Japan imported in a week. The wastefulness, born of abundance, convinced him that Japan could never match America's energy resources. "Oil is the blood of modern warfare," he wrote in his diary. "Ships, planes, tanks, trucks, all drink oil. America has oceans of it. Japan has none. This single fact determines everything."
The naval attaché years, conforming the nightmare. In 1926, Yamamoto returned to the United States as Japan's naval attaché in Washington. Now a captain with diplomatic freedom, he traveled widely to update his industrial intelligence. What he found confirmed his worst fears. America's industrial power had exploded. Steel production reached 48 million tons, and oil output surpassed 770 million barrels annually. At Bethlehem Steel, he witnessed furnaces producing naval armor faster than Japan's foundries could manage in weeks. In Birmingham, Alabama, he marveled at the seamless integration of ore, coal, and limestone shipments, coordinated by telegraph, proof of America's logistical mastery. Poker, psychology, and power. Yamamoto also sought to understand the American mind. His famous Friday night poker games with U.S. naval officers became informal intelligence sessions. Captain Ellis Zacharias of U.S. Naval Intelligence later recalled Yamamoto's brilliance. He could remember every card played and read faces like books. Yamamoto saw poker as a metaphor for war. "In poker and war," he once remarked, "the player with the most chips can afford to wait for the right cards. Japan is playing with borrowed chips against a player who owns the bank." America's ability to absorb losses and keep fighting convinced him that Japan's position was hopeless in a prolonged conflict. Vision of the sky, the future of warfare. While his peers obsessed over battleships, Yamamoto fixated on aircraft. Visiting factories like Glen L. Martin in Ohio and Douglas Aircraft in California, he saw the future of naval warfare taking shape in mass-produced airplanes. American aviation research facilities employed more engineers than Japan had in its entire aviation industry. He noted in his reports, "While we perfect our battleships, they're building the infrastructure for aerial warfare." America was already producing thousands of planes annually, and its civilian aviation network provided a foundation for rapid military expansion. Yamamoto's advocacy for aircraft carriers and naval aviation placed him years ahead of his contemporaries.
The industrial giant revealed. In the summer of 1926, Yamamoto undertook a comprehensive industrial tour that left him in awe. At the River Rouge complex in Dearborn, Michigan, he saw an empire of efficiency. Raw materials entered on one side, and finished automobiles rolled out the other. The facility's 100,000 workers consumed more electricity than most Japanese cities. At Standard Oil's Bayway refinery in New Jersey, he saw chemical engineering at an industrial scale, refining 100,000 barrels daily. His conclusion was grim but clear.